የተወደዳችሁ ተመልካቾቻችን ባለፈው ሳምንት ቤተክርስቲያን በተልዕኮ ላይ በተሰኘው ፕሮግራማችን ከክቡር አባ አውግስጢን ጋራ ቆይታ አድርገን ነበር እና እሳቸውንም አስተዋውቀን እንደዚሁም ደግሞ በኢትዮጵያና በኮሪያ መካከል ስላለው ታሪካዊ ግንኙነትም አንስተናል። እንደዚሁም ደግሞ በኮሪያ የምትገኘው ካቶሊካዊት ቤተክርስቲያን እንግዲህ ዓለም አቀፋዊት ቤተክርስቲያን ኩላዊት ቤተክርስቲያን ናት እና የኮሪያ ቤተክርስቲያን የካቶሊክ ቤተክርስቲያን ህይወት ምን ይመስላል በሚል ደግሞ ክቡር አባ አውግስጢን ባለፈው ፕሮግራማችን ላይ አንስተውልናል። ዛሬ ደግሞ ከዛ የቀጠለውን በተለይ በሮም የሰጡት ያለውን አገልግሎት ምን እንደሚመስል ከእሳቸው ጋር ቆይታ እናደርጋለን በዚህ በሁለተኛው ክፍል እና አብራችሁ ከኛ ጋር እንድትቆዩ አደራ እላለሁ። እግዚአብሔር አምላክ እንግዲህ ይህንን ቆይታችን ይባርክልን። የእሳቸውንም አገልግሎት እግዚአብሔር ይባርክ እላለሁ እና መልካም ቆይታ። You are on holidays and you wanted to use your holiday to visit countries in Africa, and you have been in Congo, Kinshasa, and some dioceses you have visited there, and now Ethiopia, the last period. But in general, just very short, what is your experience just here?
Well, I'd like to talk about following some keywords, which will be easier to express this great big emotion that I could cultivate in last few days. The first word that comes up in my mind is the dignity. Dignity of people of the church in Ethiopia. That although, as you know, the circumstances are not always favorable to the church or to personal lives of individuals, but everyone that I met in Ethiopia, I could see the full dignity of a very, very well-educated people. So I was amazed by the dignity, a full sense of this dignity of people. And the second one was joy. Again, the circumstances are not always favorable because of social and economic troubles. But when they talk about the Lord, when they talk about their faith, when they talk about their service in this country, I could see together with dignity also joy and passion. And this is a true sign, this is authentic sign of their, how to say, their total dedication.
Total dedication.
Total dedication to the truthfulness of the word of the Lord. So I very appreciate this witness, and this witness show me it has given me so many points of reflection that this is true witness, and this witness proves the truthfulness of the word of the Lord. So I really thank the church in Ethiopia that gave me a lot of points of inspiration and reflection. So tonight I go home, my home, where I live in Rome, but I go home with these many gifts, spiritual gifts that I received in the last few weeks. And I talked about dignity, joy, passion, and lastly, I'd like to talk about the faith of people. Everything could seem dark around us. When we turn on TV or when we turn on, usually these days, YouTube, the news are not always positive, usually negative. War in Ukraine and war in some other parts of the world, and so much cheatings and crimes, all criminal acts. But although it seems like the darkness is so thick around us, but as the gospel writer, the author of the John's gospel says, as Apostle John says, that light and the darkness cannot defeat it by darkness. If the light is so small, like a light of a match, but still the smallest light of match can defeat the most thick darkness of the world. No darkness can defeat the light, even though light seems very small and weak. But the weakest light in the world can defeat the thickest, the strongest darkness of the world. And this is what is happening in the church in Ethiopia. And I've seen this. And I could see also the consolation of the Holy Spirit is always among the people. And during the liturgy especially, I could see the action of the Holy Spirit upon His people. So I really appreciate the activities and prayers of the church in Ethiopia. And from my part, relying upon the grace of the Lord, I'll try my best to communicate this grace that the church in Ethiopia received with the church, local church where I was born, which is church in South Korea. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for this very good and positive remarks concerning your encounter, concerning the church and the people of Ethiopia. Very positive. Still, the Ethiopian people, they want to consolidate their faith and their witness of, you mentioned, dignity, the faith, and joy, despite the very challenging situations. People try to make out of this joy, and they help each other, and they encourage each other, and the hope on the future is always there. So the light will win always the darkness. So that is the hope of the Ethiopian people, even if we are going in a very difficult situation now. The transition is taking a long time, and taking also a lot of requiring also a lot of sacrifices, but the people are united, to face this challenging situation, because they have strong faith and they live the gospel in faith, in hope, and in love, and that love is the center for them to carry out also their individual and witness wherever they are. And thank you for this positive remark concerning our people.
One last thing I'd like to talk, I dare to talk about, talk to the people, the Catholic brothers and sisters in Ethiopia, is this, that naturally, since I was born and grown in South Korean soil, so I cannot not compare the development of Ethiopia with the development of Korea that I have experienced in my life. And thanks to Father Petros, I could go here and there of the city of Addis Ababa, and also thanks to the collaboration, thanks to the help of Bishop Abraham, Vicar of Mekki, I could visit so many also rural sides of the country, and I could see that I am not a very specialist in economy, but I could see that the economy of Ethiopia will take off very soon, and it will grow very fastly, and naturally they will follow many kinds of social changes, in this country. And yesterday, during our lunch meeting with the ambassador also pointed out that Ethiopia is really fastly changing society, and we still Korea is people say that Korea is a very fastly changing society, but I think Ethiopia is faster nowadays, as far as I see. And while one is passing this time of period of fast changing of society, I think church's main role should be the preferential option for the poor. Because while the society fastly changes, then there should be always some people left out from these changes, economic or social or even political. So those people marginalized or left out. How the church should give good care to them. I think this is a permanent mission of the church. As the society in Korea had to undergo that kind of fast changes in last decades. So what is important in this setting is that we need to really discern and judge very carefully, dedicating time and energy according to the spirit of gospel. Who are the poor in the current situation of this society? And when we can discern that these people are new poor of the society, they could be migrants, or they could be really materially poor people, or they could be psychologically poor people, although they are rich. There can be many kinds of poor people in fastly changing society. So I'd like to share this experience of the church in Korea that we've been challenged so much in discerning who are the poor and in dedicating ourselves to those poor, new types of poor in fastly changing society. And I'd like to ask you, and I'd like to ask to the church in Korea too, that we need to really discern well and dedicate ourselves very well in favor of the poor in society. Otherwise, church's mission, what will be the true meaning of it? Well, where will be the true meaning of the church's mission if we do not care for the poor?
And during the period that you mentioned, that Korea was not well developed like now, there were a struggle for the economy and to develop, and I think at that time also the role of the church was appreciated as a minority in that society. Always stood with the social teaching of the church. Was also by the leaders communicated always. And I don't know if you could share with us about the economic development and the role of the church in Korea.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in many countries, not only in Korea, economic development entails kind of the production of left-out people. Not everyone in society can participate, fully enjoy the fruits of the economic development. And at the same time, many of the cases, economic development entails some kind of violation on human rights. For example, in Korea, I don't know, since I don't know about the exact situation of Ethiopia, but when there was a boom of constructions and infrastructure buildings, all these kinds of, to set a new Korea in last few decades, so many poor people who had very shabby houses in the outskirts of the city of Seoul or other cities, they had to forcibly move their shelter to other places, receiving very small amount of money by the project of government to renew the shape of the city. This is just one example. So usually poor people, they don't have their backups, legal backups. Like rich people, they can hire lawyers and advocates, how many they want, but they can hire as they want. But poor people who are living a very low situation, economic situation, they don't know how to, and they don't know where they should go. So this kind of violation of basic human rights happened very much in Korea. And when young students, they protested, asking the government of freedom of publication, freedom of any other basic needs as citizens of democratic society. Oftentimes the government tried to crush them with violence. So the church's role in South Korea was like to help them as much as the church can do, because we Catholic Church, that's the beauty of the Catholic Church. We have brothers and sisters not only in Korea but also outside of Korea, and we could receive a lot of support, not only financial but also spiritual and many legal support, even from outside of Korea, that the government of Korea at that time, dictatorship, couldn't really move. It was not easy for them to move against the Catholic Church, because Catholic Church is not something national, it's universal. So although the government officials at the time of the dictatorship, what they see was only Korean Catholic cardinal, bishops, priests and sisters and lay people, but they knew that behind them there is a lot bigger power, spiritual bigger power or pastoral bigger power, maybe Pope or cardinals of other countries.
The moral voice of the church.
Yeah, moral voice of the church. So the government of Korea could not really run against the Catholic Church in Korea. So relying upon this moral authority of the church members in South Korea could freely help those poor people according to the spirit of the gospel. I think it bore a lot of beneficial fruits, not only to the members of the Catholic Church, but to the entire society as well. Yeah, and I think this principle is valid for everywhere in the world.
Yeah. So it's amazing, to see how South Korea developed its economy in a period of 3 decades. Now the economy is very much developed, and Korea is competing now with the United States and Japan and China. That is amazing, how this change took place. The society participated in that, and maybe the transition. During the transition, there were some sacrifices, as you have mentioned, but successfully, in a few decades, you managed, to develop the country in such a way.
Yeah, I'm not a specialist to talk about this matter, but what I can say, as I was there also, as a citizen of South Korea, what I can say is Korean people really treasure the value of education. Yeah. For the education of their children, they sacrifice everything. Sometimes there are side effects, as we have a very high number of suicide of students. This is a side effect, because to have a good academic degree is excessively highly valuated. So at times, not always it is positive, but anyway, the education is really appreciated.
Key for development.
Yeah, as a key for development.
That is also what the Catholic Church is here trying to do, educating the people. It means that developing the country. And we have also a very young population. So the church has a big role to play in this as well. Yeah,
I'm so proud of that. Yeah, and I hope the church continue to contribute in this sector. That I hope that in Ethiopia at least, not even a single boy and girl will be deprived of the opportunity of education of their disastrous economic condition. I hope, thanks to the contribution of the church in Ethiopia, every boy and girl in this country will fully enjoy the right to receive good education, and that will change a lot. Yeah.
I think in the future, maybe as you have mentioned, when there is a Korean human resources priests or sisters here as they are working, and in the future maybe also the education exchange for the external the universities and the schools, that would be maybe also a good collaboration for exchange.
Then we need to have good Amharic schools in Korea, in which Korean priests and sisters can learn your lovely language.
Yeah. I think that can be arranged, and little by little. First, we have to start to have at least one priest here in Ethiopia who can serve also the Koreans here who are present here.
Sure.
They need also pastoral care, and then from there the ball can roll, hopefully.
Yeah, I see everything very optimistic, and the collaboration will continue. Yeah.
Yes, and further, I think in our discussion, I wanted to raise also your service in Rome. Now we have been talking about the situation of the church in Korea, but your service in Rome is also very important for us, just to see what that entails first, and then maybe I have a few more questions concerning that. So where do you have been 8 years working in Rome at the Holy See, and if you can say a few words about it and about the future ministry of with the Holy Father.
From 2015, I have worked in the dicastery for evangelization, which is, once upon a time, it was called propaganda fide. Propaganda nowadays has a very bad connotation, but in Latin, it's a Latin word itself. It does not have any kind of bad connotation. Propaganda means to be proclaimed. Fide means faith. So faith to be proclaimed. That's the name of old congregation of dicastery for evangelization. So the faith should be proclaimed to the world. And the Sacra Congregatio pro Propaganda Fide, now dicastery for evangelization, was founded 1622. So last year we celebrate 400th anniversary of its foundation. And the beginning, the reason of the foundation of this congregation 400 years ago was to evangelize the peoples, a little bit enjoying the freedom from the secular colonizer power. At that time, as you know, Spain and Portugal and other small countries in Europe, they were in competition to colonize so-called third world, like African countries, Asian countries, and countries in Latin America. They by themselves, they decided this country is mine and this is yours. So unilaterally, they decided in that way. It was not really evangelical. It was not according to the spirit of gospel. It has nothing to do with the Catholic Church. They were in search of secular power and dominance and their profit, benefit. So the church realized the seriousness of these problems. They wanted to separate clearly the secular power and religious authority. So when in the year of 1622, Pope decided to found this congregation in order to evangelize peoples, in order to spread the message of gospel, enjoying the liberty, freedom from the secular power. So that was the beginning of the foundation, the beginning of the congregation, and still we are still there. We'd like to spread the liberating message of Jesus Christ to everyone in the world, as much as you can do. That's our first mission. So we do our best to support local churches spiritually and pastorally and in practical things.
Yeah. So, and you have been working for the last 8 years in this Propaganda Fide dicastery, and now the dicastery has a new name, Dicastery for Evangelization. And do you have now a new job or a new task which you are going to fulfill in the coming years?
Yeah, it was providential coincidence that on my first day in Africa, July 18th, when I arrived in Kinshasa, I received an unexpected appointment by the Pope Francis, that he appointed me as Capo Ufficio, that's head officer kind of the dicastery. So my term started from July 18th, but from then on I'm in vacation, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna carry out in the dicastery, but I was told that I'll be in charge of supervising Pontifical University Urbaniana and pontifical colleges directed by the dicastery for evangelization. Those colleges, College of San Pietro, College San Paolo, College San Giuseppe, Mater Ecclesia for religious sisters. The dicastery has a task to supervise those colleges and university in terms of administration and discipline. So I was told that that will be my main role in the dicastery in following 5 years. But I need to look documents in detail upon next time I come back to my service from 7 August. From next Monday, I need to go back to my dicastery and I need to be more informed what I will be asked to do in a new service in the dicastery. And one thing that I observe from the change of name of the congregation from dicastery, not only in the congregation of evangelization of peoples, once upon a time it was called Propaganda Fide, but all other congregation, for example, congregation for bishops, congregation for clergy, they have name dicastery for clergy, dicastery for bishops, dicastery for culture and education, like this. And I personally see this change very positively, because in 2015 I remember when Pope Francis indicted the Jubilee of Mercy, he invited all the officials of the Holy See to the Basilica of Saint Lateran, Basilica Saint John Lateranense, and he wanted to talk with us, sharing his reflection on the role of Roman Curia. And at that time he said the role of Roman Curia is a deacon, diaconal. So our job is to support local churches. That is our primary job. And I was so impressed by his remarks that this is my job in the dicastery, or this is my job as a member of as an official of the Roman Curia, that we need to support as deacons the local churches spread throughout the world. And congregation has a meaning, that congregatio, to get together in Latin. That means congregatio has its meaning, has an implication of an entity. It itself is an entity. But dicastery, dicasterium in Latin, is purely bureaucratic and administrative term. It exists to serve others. By itself, if it remains alone, dicasterium cannot enjoy any meaning, raison d'être, meaning of being, because it exists to serve, like government. Without population, without people, why the government exists? Government exists only for the good of the people. So this change of the title or name from dicastery to from congregation to dicastery, for me, is very, very positive. And Pope Francis showed us a way, the officials of the whole Roman Curia, the identity of our mission. That our mission is not play a major role in the church. Maybe that's not our role. To play the role in the church, the major role in the church, is the task of local churches spread throughout the world. And my job, or our job as members or officials of the Holy See, is we need to support as much as we can, so that local churches can play their mission, carry out their mission of evangelization ever more efficiently and freely. And one more thing, that last year Pope Francis promulgated the Apostolic Constitution, Predicate Evangelium, for the reform of Roman Curia. And one of the things that directly regards to my diocese, to my dicastery, is that Pope Francis, he himself wanted to say that the prefect of the dicastery for evangelization is the Roman Pontiff. Yeah, so we have a head dicastery, Holy Father, Pope Francis, and he precised the reason of this change of some regulars of Roman Curia, because he considered the main mandate, main mission of the Roman Curia, of the Church, or Roman Pontiff himself, is evangelization. Spread the gospel, spread the message of Jesus Christ to people. So I think that's an identity of each and every one of us all, that in given situation, each and every one of us all, we always try our best to spread the message of gospel. And Pope Francis wanted to show the truthfulness of this message by his own example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very important that Pope Francis is taking the Church to a new chapter, and then in that process, he wanted to reform the Curia in Rome, and one of the reform is also all these congregations into dicasteries, but also always serving the evangelization, serving the gospel of Christ, and capacitating the local church. And the role of the local church should be raised, and that is his vision. And then it's for you as an official there, now appointed for the coming 5 years, to be engaged with these pontifical universities and colleges. It is an important task, because in those universities, the priests who are coming, sisters and lay people who are coming from all over the world, receive formation on those universities, and for the evangelization it's very important that the task to supervise, to oversee their service to the local churches.
First, I'll pray every day that the Lord will give me strength and wisdom necessary for my duty of service, to carry out without much blemish the holy duty that I received from the Church. I will pray a lot. And the second, I will do my best in a practical dimension, that using everything of me, I promise you that I'll do my best. I studied St. Thomas Aquinas, we talked about this. And St. Thomas Aquinas very much emphasized in Summa Theologiae, which is the capolavoro, the masterpiece of his theological work, he at times intentionally put too many numbers of articles or many numbers of questions for a single subject in order to highlight the importance of that subject. And when I was studying for my doctorate thesis, I found out that among so many subjects treated in Summa Theologiae, number one, the subject that has most questions in terms of number of questions is that the subject of prayer. So it is indirect. Saint Thomas Aquinas wanted to indirectly tell that prayer is the most important subject for Christian life. And second most important subject for Christian life, in which Saint Thomas Aquinas second most numerous articles and questions in his Summa Theologiae, is the prudence. It's so interesting. Why prudence? And the definition of Saint Thomas Aquinas of prudence is this: put things that you possess in the right order. What do we possess? My youth. I don't know how the viewers will evaluate me, but I'm still young, and what I have is my youth and what I studied so far and my experience. And if I have money, my money. If I have other things, all those things, my human relationship, all those things that I have, I need to put in right order. Then one may ask, what is right order? For the salvation of souls. My salvation and your salvation, and salvation of my neighbors. So put my resources in right order is the prudence. And that's the second most important thing for a Christian. This is mind-blowing to me. So what we have, maybe I don't have tomorrow if God does not want it, but most probably I will have tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll use it for the salvation of myself and salvation of others. Because that time is allowed by God. And if I have my health also tomorrow, then I'll use my health for the salvation of myself and the salvation of my brothers and sisters. And what I can tell for my next 5 years of service in Roman Curia, I'll do the same that I always have carried out. Then I'll put all my human resources and all other resources for the goal of salvation of others and of myself. And I don't know exactly the details of my service, but this I can promise you.
Yes, that's well formulated. I mean, your position, how you want to engage yourself in this important ministry of the church. I think prayer and also being as a servant of the church, putting all what you receive from God in perfect order, in a good order, as you have mentioned, quoting St. Thomas Aquinas, that will help you also in the coming years, as you well put it. And then it will be also beneficial for those who are receiving the service from you for the salvation of the souls in the local churches, those priests and lay people and sisters and brothers who are coming to Rome to study. That is, their formation is important for the salvation of the souls tomorrow when they go back to their respective congregations or dioceses in the local church. Yeah, thank you. It is. We would like also to express our hope that your service will be fruitful, a blessed one for the church, and we keep you also in our prayers in the coming years.
Thank you. I'll pray for you too, and I would now I think that my visit in Ethiopia was providential. I didn't know about this appointment when I booked my airplane ticket to Ethiopia, when I applied the visa to Ethiopia. But everything happened to me out of thin air, and I had no idea about this. Now, looking back last few months and last few weeks, everything was so providential. I thank God. I thank you people in Ethiopia. I thank you, the church in Ethiopia. And I will always keep in mind you, keep you in my mind, and I'll remember you in my prayer.
Yeah, and we will also, of course, continue our communication in the near future. And this is just the first interview we have with you while you are now visiting Ethiopia, just as priest to see, interested in the life of the church. But maybe in the future, when we have another interview with Catholic TV, it will be also about your service again as Capo Ufficio, as supervisor for the pontifical universities of the Catholic Church in Rome and the Holy See, under the Holy See. So it's an important task, and we may have another opportunity also to hear from you, and especially also, as earlier mentioned, this encounter will open a window of opportunity to lay a foundation for the relationship between the church in Ethiopia and the church in Korea. Thank you very much for this wonderful insight into the history of your country and the relationship between your country and Ethiopia, but also insight into the life of the church in Korea, and then also about your ministry in Rome. I wanted, to ask you many questions, but the time is not in our side. But next time we may have also more opportunities. Thank you very much for all this. እንግዲህ አባ አውግስጢን እዚህ ተገኝተው ከኛ ጋር ቆይታ አድርገዋል እና በቆይታቸውም ሂደት ላይ እንደሰማነው ስለ ቤተክርስቲያናቸው በኮሪያ ያለውን የቤተክርስቲያን ሕይወት እንደዚሁም ደግሞ እንደ ካህን በቅድስት መንበር አገልግሎት እየሰጡ ነውና በቅዱስ መንበር የሚሰጡትን አገልግሎት አስመልክቶ ሰፋ ያለ ማብራሪያ ሰጥተውናልና እሳቸውንም እያመሰገንን እንግዲህ በዚህ ፕሮግራም ደስተኛ እንደነበራችሁ በመተማመን በሚቀጥለው ጊዜ ደግሞ በሌላ ፕሮግራም እስክንገናኝ መልካም ቆዩ እንላለን።